Good evening, everybody. This is the special board meeting of the San Benito CIC Board of Trustees. It is January 10th, 2019, and I call this meeting to order at exactly 6:32 p.m. Mr. Mendez, Ms. Garcia, Mrs. Weaver,
Present.
Mrs. Silva, Mr. Lopez,
Present.
Mr. Rosas, Dr. Carmen,
Present.
and Mr. Torres.
Present.
Our agenda item number 3, consideration and possible action regarding adoption of a resolution and other possible action to oppose and prevent possible legislation supported by Brownsville ISD concerning annexation or taking of San Benito CIC territories and property outside of Chapter 13 of the Texas Education Code Procedures. Dr. Carmen.
I'm going to go ahead and read from this resolution, and I'm going to ask if they'll switch the monitor over to show the map. I'm going to read through this resolution, and I'm going to explain the area we're talking about here that Brownsville ISD is wanting to annex into their district. Resolution reads, whereas without consultation with the San Benito Consolidated School District, the Brownsville Independent School District posted an agenda item for its December 11th, 2018 board meeting, which stated, discussion, consideration, and possible action for approval of a resolution requesting that the legislators, through Senator Eddie Lucio and Alex Dominguez, make the limits of BISD match the city limits of Brownsville, and that the area of Cameron County south of the Port of Brownsville up to the Gulf become part of BISD territory as well. Whereas the BISD Board of Trustees, at its December 11, 2018 board meeting, unanimously voted to adopt a board resolution directing the superintendent to work with state legislators and surrounding district superintendents whose boundaries overlap with the city of Brownsville so that we can discuss feasibility plan to either exchange or collapse boundaries to better serve Brownsville students. And whereas if a forced taking of school district territory is allowed, 3 districts' territories would be affected, including San Benito CISD. And whereas the boundaries of the San Benito CISD have existed decades prior to the city of Brownsville annexation of the San Benito territory that remains within the city limits of Brownsville, and whereas families have intentionally purchased homes in the city limits of Brownsville because their land was located within San Benito CISD territories, and whereas as a result of a forced taking of San Benito CISD territory, the district would be stripped of all title to property, assets, and debt, including real property located within the city limits. And whereas the Texas legislation previously adopted laws in 1995 that provide for detachment and annexation of territory in Chapter 13 of the Texas Education Code. And whereas the current laws found in Chapter 13 of the Texas Education Code provide for annexation and detachment of school district territory, but only after petitions filed by a majority of registered voters of the territory in question or by the surface owners of the taxable property in the territory or through collaboration with the neighboring districts, and only with the approval of all elected boards of trustees of the affected territory. And whereas none of the requirements outlined in Texas Education Code sections 13.051 or 13.231 have been met by the neighboring school district to allow for any legal detachment or annexation of San Benito CISD territory. And whereas the district's mission to provide a premier education for all students through a positive and safe learning environment so that its graduates are college, career, and workforce ready would be compromised by the legislation stripping the district of all real property, students, and resources. And whereas such proposed legislation evidences no consideration as to the impact of well-being of the resources, citizens, parents, and education of students of the district, and whereas any such legislation of this nature would set a precedent to strip multiple districts of territory, and whereas numerous other school districts throughout the state of Texas also have territory that was annexed by cities that have school districts, and these districts could suffer similar unwarranted and unprecedented taking of district property and resources if such legislation was adopted. And whereas the San Benito CISD Board of Trustees, on behalf of its students, employees, community members, and stakeholders, as well as on behalf of its taxpayers and citizens, must be vehemently opposed to any such attempt by a neighboring school district to force the taking of district territory. Therefore, be it resolved that the San Benito CISD Board of Trustees, on behalf of the San Benito CISD and its students and parents, object and oppose Brownsville ISD's attempt to secure any legislative action that would circumvent Chapter 13 of the Texas Education Code and would redraw San Benito CISD school district attendance zones and property, as well to prevent a taking of San Benito CISD territory that was purchased and improved by the district through taxpayer dollars and as a result of bonds approved by citizens. Chapter 13 of the Texas Education Code has set out the legal means to detach and annex territory. Be it resolved that the San Benito CISD Board of Trustees authorizes the superintendent to engage state legislators, including Senator Lucio and Representative Dominguez, to lodge the district's opposition, and be it resolved that the superintendent or his designee is authorized to take such action necessary on behalf of the San Benito CISD Board of Trustees to object and nullify any such proposed legislation or attempt to take district territory. Be it further resolved that the San Benito CISD Board of Trustees has directed the superintendent to convey that the Board of Trustees, on behalf of the district, has no desire to engage in conversations or negotiations that would result in detachment or annexation of San Benito CISD territory. All that to say, if you look at the map that we are projecting, the proposal for Brownsville ISD trying to usurp the current existing law in Chapter 13 of the Texas Education Code. If you look at the map, the area there in yellow is our school district, San Benito CISD. The area in blue towards the lower right-hand corner is the overlap between the city of Brownsville and our school district. If any legislation were to be passed, that is the area of land that would now go from San Benito CISD over to Brownsville ISD. If you'll click on that second tab, please, Peggy. Most of that land out there is federal government land. There's a natural reserve out there. And there are probably less than 20 students that actually live on that land. But if you look at this list of property values and scroll to the bottom, I think we'd be losing about $3.7 million worth of taxable property values. In addition to those 20 or so students that live out, 3.6 million, and 20 or so students. So that's of concern. However, what's of larger concern is that the city of Brownsville, who I guess in recent years had expanded their boundaries, has on their webpage an ETJ area, extraterritorial jurisdiction area, I think is what that stands for. And Peggy, if you'll click on that third tab, please. That area that they have listed as a possibility for them to expand in the future would now encompass that green area on the map. That would include La Encantada Elementary, much of the neighborhood that feeds into La Paloma Elementary. If you follow up 732, those neighborhoods, including Bentry, that feed into A.G. Leal Elementary, we would lose approximately 2,437 students, which out of the 10,500 that we have, if they're weighted equally to the average student in our district, out of our $110 million revenue, not counting federal funds, we would stand to lose probably $26 million. It would be devastating, to say the least, that we would have to reduce our staff by 22 to 24% of what we currently employ. So the concern is, one, that if any legislation were to go through, we would lose a small amount of land and a small amount of students. However, should the city of Brownsville follow through with their expansion, and the law or the bill that would be passed would allow for the school district to follow right along with the city limits of Brownsville, we would lose this. And Peggy, if you go ahead and go online and go to the first tab, just to show you this information came, City of Brownsville. The red on that map is the current city limits of Brownsville. When you go to their layer and show their ETJ, we've had mouse trouble all day long. There it is. Oh, we lost it. If you'll, yeah, thank you. So that is the area the city of Brownsville has designated as potential areas for them to expand into. And you can see that on the left side of the map there, that pink area was the area that I was just discussing. And there's a second tab on here. Just went back to read kind of the history. We spoke with officials in the city of Brownsville. They said currently they have no plans to expand. If you go ahead and click on that, Peggy. Thank you, ma'am. But I found a story from 2001, and it talks about the land grab that the city of Brownsville was doing at that point in time. Excuse me. And it tells you clearly the ETJ is an area outside of city limits into which cities can expand, annex, or provide services. So I don't know why you would claim an area as an ETJ area if you weren't planning on doing one of those options at some point down the road. So the immediate concern is not a huge one should this bill go through, but the potential, should the city of Brownsville continue to expand, would be very detrimental to San Benito CISD.
Thank you, Dr. Carmen. I think to add on to that, we've spoken with a couple of our legislatures already and their staff, and on the House side, it seems this will go nowhere, even though Brownsville ISD listed these legislatures in their resolution. I think we did get a press release from Senator Lucio's office entertaining the idea in a sense of seeking where the will of the people are, so meaning he's gonna hold town halls, he's gonna ask questions about whether this is where in the direction we wanna go. But I think the only way this can occur, which is why Brownsville passed the resolution, was through a legislative fix. But I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. So we just wanted to make sure and be proactive in passing our own resolution and telling Brownsville that it's not okay. And it's not, stay away. So I think for now, we're good. We just wanted to, as a formality and make sure we have it on the record, is pass the resolution on ours. Los Fresnos did theirs right before the Christmas break. I'm not sure where Port Isabel is on theirs, because these are the 3 districts that are affected by Brownsville ISD's attempt to usurp a lot of our lands and our students. So I think for now, though, we're good. It's just the resolution's just a proactive step to make sure that we have something on the record. Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lopez. Do I have a second? Second by Mrs. Silva. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next agenda item is the discussion and possible action to approve the project management agreement with Brighton Group LLC.
Yes, sir, Mr. Vargas, I want to motion that we would divert this item to executive session due to a legal concern.
I have a motion from Mr. Lopez to divert from the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Garcia. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We will divert into executive session on this agenda item. Next agenda item, closed meeting, discussion under the authority of the Texas Government Code 55.071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney on any subjects or matters authorized by law. 55.041 for the purpose of the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee. We have employment, resignations, and retirements. So we go into executive session at 6:46 p.m. We reconvene back into open session at exactly 7:31 p.m. on the discussion and possible action to approve project management agreement with Brighton Group LLC.
Yes, sir, I motion to give the authority to the board attorney to make non-substantive changes to the agreement. And to approve the agreement.
I have a motion by Mr. Lopez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Weaver. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Can I please have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Oh, my apologies. I just kind of jumped the gun. On the closed session item of employment resignations and retirements, Dr. Carmen?
Yes, sir. I would recommend to the board to consider the employment of the personnel as discussed in executive session.
Moved by Ms. Silva. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Weaver. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Now, can I please have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Garcia motions to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rosas. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We adjourn at exactly 7:32 PM.